Hi, there's Kevin with the Rogue Market here with this month's episode of the Pirates Plunder Pick, otherwise known as the top 10 products that I think are good buys right now for the month of November. So this month we're just going to do a 5-5 split. I think this is how I'm going to do it in the future. Often there's not 10 products from Magic that I can pick that I think are great buys right now, otherwise it gets very repetitive. In fact, this video is going to be pretty repetitive from the last couple months. And I hope you do enjoy the 5 products that I show at the end of this video for things that I think make either great Magic Gathering accessories or just things you can add to your gaming arsenal. All right, so without further ado, let's start off with the 5 Magic products. So you have Dawn Glare that is up right now. We can see a total trend of the market is pretty stagnant with a lot of the sets here. Standard is very stagnant. We even have Pioneer that's going down in value. I think we're starting to see the weight of Double Masters and Commander Legends and all of the secret layers that have come out in the last couple months really put the weight on the rest of the Magic Gathering products, and they're falling as a result. Even some of these ones that I picked last week have fallen from, or last month have fallen since last month. But I do think there are good products this month that you probably do have a few more months to invest in, but I think that window is closing. And I'll talk about those after this particular pick, because this first pick is one that doesn't really have the greatest EV according to MG Stocks or according to Dawn Glare, but I think that its supply is about out, and if you actually compare it to prices around this particular set, this is kind of the anomaly. This is the one that stands out, and I think it's just as much of a chase set as any of the others. So this is, of course, you can see up in my tabs because I forgot to close my window to show tabs here, is going to be Oath of the Gatewatch. So Oath of the Gatewatch is a set with a lottery card in it, and it's now the cheapest one. Let me repeat that. It's the cheapest set that you can actually get a lottery card out of, or otherwise known as an expedition or a masterpiece or invocation. Yes, Our Devastation and Amonkhet are now more expensive than Oath of the Gatewatch. We, of course, we have Kaladesh and Aether Revolt, which are incredibly expensive, and Battle for Zendikar that is also expensive. I think this is a pretty good set long term. It has commons that are, well, actually, I don't think this one's a $3.50 one. This is one that comes out of the bundles. But it has wastes, just regular wastes, that are $1 a piece. So $1 a piece for wastes that add to the EV of this box. And it doesn't have the greatest mythics in here, but it does have some reasonable amount of cards in the form of all the rares. It still does have some pretty high impact cards with some of these Eldrazi's, like Eldrazi Displacer, Thought Nasir. One of the biggest issues with Oath the Gatewatch is these cards just can't dodge reprints to save their life. But I do think we have some mythics too that just get better and better when more cards are printed in the format for Pioneer. I could definitely see Kozilek's Return being a staple in Pioneer, and the price of this card just skyrocketing. Can't remember if this one did have a reprint in Mystery or not. Let's go ahead and check it here while we're at the Kozilek's Return, if that's why the price is down. Really need to get back on the top of these particular stuff. It doesn't look like it did, though. So I think that this is a card that could easily spike the EV of this box. But regardless of that, the EV isn't terrible for Oath the Gatewatch. It kind of sits here in the middle of the pack. It's better than Battle for Zendikar at $73 by itself with TCG mid. Let's go to market. Market, it does collapse down to 60, 75 with the Oath the Gatewatch Expedition. That's including the ability to get expeditions, and MTG Stocks has the market price of it around, we just had it pulled up here, and it is going for $78 for the market price is what you're expected to get from a booster box. So currently, the Gatewatch are around $120 distributor price to buy, and that's what they're really hovering around eBay as well. The thing is, I've noticed that trend start to trickle up, and not just that, but the amount of sellers has gone down for Oath the Gatewatch, so it leads me to believe that supply is running low for Oath the Gatewatch, and then take into account that all the other sets around Oath the Gatewatch have spiked up, and like I said previously, it's the last one with a lottery card that you can actually purchase that is below that now 135 of the next competitor with Amonkhet. So I think that something's got to give with this sucker. It's going to be the next one to go up in value. All right, so the next 4 fall in the same category. These are ones that rotated, or they were sets that were printed last year or the year before, have rotated out of standard, and have now are done with their printing cycle. So the first one we're talking about is Guilds of Ravnica. I'm going to actually put Guilds of Ravnica and Ravnica Allegiance in the same category. Now, of course, both these are going down in price, but both of these sets have some staples in the form of like Wilderness Reclamations and in Ravnica Allegiance And then Hydrocrisis sees play every now and again in various formats, even in Commander. But the main reason that these sets I think are lucrative going forward is if you think that Paper is going to come back and that Pioneer is going to have actual representations in GPs, then shock lands become the new fetch lands. These are the ones that will be required to put 4 ofs in decks. Commander decks are still going to run 1 ofs. We don't know if they're going to be reprinted anytime soon in Standard. At least 2 to 3 years is my expectations before these get a reprint. So I think there are plenty of times for these to accrue value. They are very hesitant of throwing these in products like Commander decks and whatnot. And I'm thinking these are going to go up in value. And if we do see Pioneer come back with a vengeance, they'll be the first things to spike up in value. So right now, shocks are quite low. They're decent little investments, but the sealed way to get shocks, either being Guilds of Ravnica, Ravnica Allegiance, even going back to Return to Ravnica and Gatecrash, I think are all great buys right now for that reason. Another thing that I like about both these boxes, they're still low to buy. They're still around the $80, $85 booster box from distributors. They still have some supply, but I'm noticing less and less distributors carrying these particular sets. And that even makes it even worse for the War of the Spark. War of the Spark is the one that's moving. In fact, one of the distributors that I buy the most from has actually upped the price of War of the Spark to $90 a booster box. So if they have faith in that War of the Spark going up in value long term, I actually do agree with that analysis. I think it's going to be the next Dominaria, even though War of the Spark is top 5, easily top 5 of the most printed booster boxes of all time. Dominaria, Khans of Tarkir, War of the Spark, Battle for Zendikar are probably in that mix. Maybe there's some other sets that sneak in there, but War of the Spark was like peak Magic the Gathering. So is Dominaria, and we saw the box of Dominaria, even though it was printed like crazy, are now pretty expensive in the scope of things. And it's just that nostalgia. People really want to hang on to their favorite sets. And War of the Spark definitely is a goodie. The proliferate mechanic was very, very popular. The Planeswalkers were both popular and hated. And I think this set's going to age extremely well. So before that window collapses for Guilds of Ravnica, Ravnica Allegiance, and War of the Spark, I think all of them are great pickups right now at that $85 to $90 price. And like I said, we saw what was it? We saw Amonkhet disappear quite quickly and move up $40. We saw Aether Revolt do that like crazy. It was distributor price and boom, that sucker went up to like $165. And then recently we saw Rivals of Ixalan. I think Ixalan I called last month. Those are ones too that I think the window's closing. I think that the market does need some breathing room for these to go back up, but the next little swing, the next time the market does have breathing room, these are going to follow the same pattern that we saw with last year, or I guess April was the big run on Pioneer products that saw like Dragons of Tarkir go up, Origins go up, all those ones that were, kind of the dumpster sets. Return to Ravnica, that set was $80 forever. And so I think, yeah, give it some time for another window that will have breathing room. And these four of the Gatewatch Guilds, Ravnica Allegiance, and War of the Spark are definitely going to go up. So last but definitely not least is Modern Horizons. Modern Horizons is out on most of the distributors. There's one distributor that is carrying it, and this was not the case about a month ago. These were still things that were sort of being blown out. But talk about a set with just high impact cards. We have a $47 rare with the form of Force of Negation. We have an N6 that's still holding strong. Urza, Seasons Pyromancer, Prismatic Vista, all of these, a couple of swords in this mix. We have Morphone the Boundless, which is a very popular commander. We have a Sliver in here. These are going to age very well, not even talking about the lands. The land cycle, I think, is going to be extremely valuable long term. They go in Commander, they go in Modern. And I think that Modern Horizons this is the last window you're going to be able to get at that 150, 160. So do not wait for Modern Horizons. If you do want any sealed boxes, I think end of the year they're going to be up to 170s. January, February, probably pushing 180s. And then, or we just might see it just leapfrog that and just go right up to the 200s once the stock from the distributors runs dry. So incredibly printed set. This set was very, very high in the scope of like non-standard sets of having multiple waves. Definitely more than like Battle Bond, definitely more than Conspiracies. So the supply is very, very high of this, but the price is not going to hold at that 160 price tag. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to the camera and showcase the 5 accessories or non-magic products that I like this month. Alrighty, so now we're on to the 5 products, non-Magic the Gathering products that I recommend for this month for November. And let's start off kind of backwards this time and start off with a board game. I'm going to pick a board game every month because I think you need to broaden your horizons. If you don't play board games, you should be playing board games. Like I like to tell all the people that come into my store, there is a board game for everyone. Whether you're into the more storytelling games like Arkham Horror and Betrayal in the House Hill, or cooperative games, maybe an area-controlled competitive game if you're a fan of like Risk back in the day, there is a board game for you. I particularly like strategy games and puzzle games, and one of my favorite strategy games is Azul. This is the third Azul, called Summer Pavilion. Now, all the Azuls are fun, but I think the Magic player in me likes the drafting aspect of Azul. So in this one, what you do is you pick the tiles from the center. It's still the center like all the other Azuls. So you pick one color from one of the discs in the center, and then the other colors go to the middle. The first person that takes from the middle still gets negative points. But instead of then immediately placing them on your board, there's another phase to where then you strategically go turn by turn and place your tiles on your player board. And you still score points with consecutive tiles placed, but I think that this version is much more strategic than the other Azuls and a lot less luck dependent. And of course, I am all for any games that can reduce the amount of variance. Now, I do think variance is important to games, otherwise games just become chess. Nothing wrong with chess, but I think that what is the problem with like chess is you need to find someone at your own skill level. Otherwise, this can be a boring experience, and that's what makes it kind of tough to do so. Azul, however, this is a pretty fun puzzle game. I can't recommend it enough. It gets to the table quite frequently. It's a game that I take to the lake or camping, as it's a nice, fun hour-long game is what this Azul. This one does run a little bit longer than the other Azuls, but I think it's definitely worth the time investment. So I think this Patreon price is between $20 and $25, depending on how much I can pick it up at the time. And this one, if you're looking to get your feet wet into more of the puzzle games for board games, I can't recommend this one enough. All right, for the deck box this month, I am going to pick the Alcove Guilds of Ravnica deck boxes. Now, a couple of these are gaudy. Like, I don't like the Celestia one. I don't like the Azorius one, or the Gruul one especially. Like the Gruul one just has too Christmassy of colors on it, and it just doesn't jive with me. But the Dimir one is just popping, and the Golgari one and the Rakdos one, all of those ones I think look beautiful. Now, there have been some complaints about the quality of Ultra Pro. These are okay. Like you're gonna occasionally come across some of the ones that might have some taping issues, and yeah, the quality underneath here, I think, is just cardboard. I think these did get wrecked by a few other YouTubers that review products that has some flimsy stuff. Ultra Pro does do a lot of like corner cutting with their products, but this one I think is pretty reasonable for the price tag. I think these retail for $25, and I can get them for 14 or 15, depending on the sale at the time. And they're reasonably constructed. I don't think you need deck boxes to be able to survive a nuclear blast. If you do want them, then go and get the boulders. Like, I really do enjoy the Ultimate Guard boulders. But if you're looking just for like a classy, snazzy deck box you're not going to beat up, I think that this is going to be able to take reasonable wear and tear. And the price isn't too bad for like a branded. That's the problem with these, is Wizards of the Coast is probably getting a cut, and it's going to be something that I don't think they're going to be able to put out the same like quality product with the branding that some of these other competitors do, like Ultimate Carter or Dragon Shield. So these ones are cool. Of course, every guild has a representation. I'll have a link in the description below where you can actually look at those, or on the sheets of where the pricing for these products are. Alrighty, so now up next is the binder. So Dex Protection, you have someone who's going to give you a run for their money. This is Gamegenic. This is now the new Gamegenic Zip Folio. I don't know what they call this one. It's basically their non-cheapo version of it. And I don't know what you call this material, this like pleathery, I don't know, clothy. It's kind of like a cloth, but it's got this kind of cool, you see the dark reds and the light reds in it, kind of tapered look to it. And the inside is just top notch. So it's very similar to the decks, like very, very similar with this fake velvet stuff on the sides. Gives it a classy look. And the pages, this one is a quadro. The pages are, they're great. They fit the cards. They don't stretch too much. So as you can see, I can throw in some cards here, and it'll go perfectly in with the sleeve and fit nice and tight and snug there to get your quad So your play sets out there, you know, they come out, look, there's no bends or wrinkles in that after I put in the sleeve, which a lot of products in the past, like the more you put cards in and more out, they start to get stretched and damaged, and it doesn't work as good as it is. And so I think the price point is very similar to Dex Protection. You're going to be, I think, in the $20 range for this particular binder. And so I got to give credit where credit is due for GameGenic. They knocked it out of the park. I didn't like a lot of their cheapo binders. I think they were actually a step down from Ultra Pro, which is saying much because, as you heard my review of Ultra Pro before, Ultra Pro is known for having kind of the shoddy quality. So I was very impressed that GameGenic actually did very, very well with this binder. I don't see any like tears in the stitching or whatnot. It's just a very solid, beautiful zip. Like, one of the problems I've had with like Dragon Shield lately is their zippers have been so terrible, but this zipper is great. And opens up fine, sits fine. It's a nice sturdy, kind of compact for what you get. It is a quad, so it's gonna be, you know, has to go in a laptop backpack at that point. But this is, I think, is going to be definitely a competitor to the Dex binders. So up there with Ultimate Guard, up there with Dragon Shield, up there with Dex, and for the price point, very comparable to like the Dex Protection binders. So knock out the parks by GameGenic. Very, very solid option if you're in the option for quad binders. They also make it in the 18 pockets and the 9 pockets. All right, so that leads us to the juicy stuff this week. Let's start off with the Perfect Fits. So I've reviewed Perfect Fits before. I think this is like the gold standard for Perfect Fits. I particularly like Dragon Shield's side load sleeves because they fit the best consistently. You don't have to like get like a perfect sleeve. You don't have to worry about that sort of stuff because the side load allows you to put in any sort of sleeve, whether it be tight or loose. But for a top loading sleeve, it is more expensive than the GameGenic one or the Legion or the Ultra Pro, but I think for your top-notch one, it's the kind of classic red KMC sleeves. Now, these cost $3 a pop to buy. They have 100 sleeves in them, but they are really, really solid. What I like about these is sometimes with Perfect Fits from their competitors, the more you unsleeve and sleeve cards, the more stretched out it gets. But you can see that's still nice and tight. But they're tight, but not to the point like you went through a bad batch like Ultra Pro, where if you actually wanted to push in your card all the way, you risked actually bending the card. It was so super tight. But the problem is if they're loose, then they're going to, when you put them in a sleeve, they're going to pop out the back or pop out the sleeve. Like the sleeve will pop out a bit. This one slips right inside a Dragon Shield just fine. No problems. Dragon Shield are kind of known for having a little bit tighter sleeves to begin with. And so passing this kind of Dragon Shield test is definitely a plus for the KMC. So KMC, what I like about KMC is the consistency is just really, really good. Sometimes, like, I swore by Legion Defenders because the price point was just on point, and I thought it was just the quality as any other of the competitors. The problem with, like, Ultra Pro and Legion is, and now I'm even seeing it with a little bit of the GameGenic, is consistency is an issue. I've never had consistency problems with KMC. You really do get a top-notch Perfect Fit, and the price point's actually pretty good comparatively speaking to like Dragon Shield, which is supposed to be like the top-notch. So not a fan of like KMC sleeves themselves, but for the Perfect Fits, definitely can't go wrong with at least the red sleeves. I know that people have had issues with the blue packaged ones, what are considered the USA. They were kind of a remake of these. Basically, I think it's just all in English. So the Japanese KMCs, can't go wrong with them. So leads us to what I have it in here, the sleeved. This is the Sierra Nevada brushed art. So I am a pretty big fan of the brush sleeves because one of the problems I have with Dragon Shield is they're so slippery. Even the mats, the classics are so slippery. The shuffle feel too out of classics and mats leaves a little bit to be desired, but man, oh man, did they make it work with the brushed. So brush sleeve is nice shuffle feel. This is good as any shuffle feel that I've had from a sleeve. You have the sweet artwork on here. I think they did a great job on these Sierra Nevadas. I wish I had some Starry Nights to show you. Starry Nights is one of the best artworks that have come out from Dragon Shield. But, I mean, these are pretty great sleeves. My only complaint, this particular package that I had 2 miscut sleeves. So, fortunately, I did not have to use all the sleeves. This is just for a 60 card deck here. This is actually a Commander Legends. I'll have the deck tech out. This is what I sealed with my Commander Legends So I'll show you the kind of deck tech and results on another channel, but kind of fun little deck I was able to build with these two. But anyway, so yeah, I just had to have a 60 card deck, so those two kind of miscut sleeves weren't a big issue, but I could definitely see that being a headache if you got a bad pack of Dragon Shields for like a commander deck. The good thing is about Dragon Shield is their customer service is pretty top notch. If you do tell them to replace a product, they're pretty good about it, to the fact that I've been able to tell distributors about a product that was defective, and Dragon Shield has reimbursed me through that. So great company. They're not going anywhere. They keep just upping their game with these sleeves. The brush sleeves are by far my favorite. I like them better than art sleeves just because the feel of them are just top notch with that shuffle feel. The good news about brush sleeves too is rumor has it the Dragon Shield now can actually print on these brush sleeves, and so we can start doing custom designs. I think in 2021 they're going to be rolling that out. So be looking for possibly some Rogue Deck Builder or Gone Rogue Game sleeves with the Dragon Shield brushed, and unless they're insanely expensive. So there are my 5 products this month that I think are great buys. Dragon Shield brush are like $7. KMC Perfect Bits are $3. The Alcos are going to be like $14, I think. And the Azul is $22 currently. It jumps around between $20 and $25. And the Game Genic Binder, I believe, is $19. I might be wrong here. I think it's $19 though for this quad. Could be slightly more expensive. So those are my 5 products. I'm interested in what you think of the 5 products. If there is something I missed about these products, definitely comment in the comment section below, as well as any of the critiques I have of the sealed product from Magic the Gathering this month. Not a lot of things new and exciting. Again, going back to those booster boxes, I think now is the time to get into some of those sets that were from last year that have rotated out of standard, the Modern Horizons, the War of the Spark, Ravnica Legion Skills. Those are top-notch sets that I think are going to age very, very well, and I think right now is the last time to get in at their cheap window. So, yep, there you have it. Thanks for watching.